Are you feeling misunderstood and not supported by those close to you? And listen, it can be isolating and hurtful. It can devastate your spirit. It can throw you into a spiral of resignation and depression, and you are not alone. The good news is that you don't actually need the support of other people in the way that you think that you do. The support you need comes first and foremost from within. And listen, I spent years of my life feeling misunderstood and like my people in my life didn't quite support my big dreams or my vision. But I pressed on because I learned some of the techniques that were taught to me. And in this episode of the Confidence Podcast, we're coaching on what to do when people in your life don't support or understand you. You're listening to the Confidence Podcast, the go-to coaching podcast oozing with motivation and easy to implement steps that help you to be bold and confident in life. I'm your host, Trish Blackwell, internationally recognized confidence coach, best-selling author, and founder of The College of Confidence. I teach go-getters in life how to master their self-talk, turn down the volume of self-doubt, and get more results in life so that you can be the difference maker and world changer God created you to be. You were made for more, and today's episode will help you. Hey there, my name is Trish Blackwell, and I'm your coach of the Confidence Podcast. And in today's episode, we're talking about what to do when people don't support or understand you. This is episode 614. If you're new to the show, welcome. We're so happy you are here. If you're an OG and you've listened to all 613 previous episodes, what a privilege it is to be a voice of encouragement in your life. So thank you for the honor and the privilege it is to be a voice in your life. And I want you to know, I value your time. You are a busy doer. This is an audience primarily of people who know that they're made for more, which tells me a lot about you. You want to do more. So you're tapping in to your mindset. And I also know you're busy. So my goal every Tuesday that we drop a fresh episode is that you have tangible and really actionable items that you can apply to your life right away. So if you're new to the show, we are so happy you're here. Buckle up, we're diving in. In this episode, there's a few core concepts I'm going to be coaching on. The first is why it's so painful to not feel supported. Then we're going to talk about how to change the inner narrative and what you make it mean when you don't feel supported. And then we're going to coach as well on the key to creating unconditional support and belief for yourself, and primarily and importantly, how to actually do that. And I want you to know first that I know very closely firsthand what it feels like to be misunderstood. I do, though, want to add that my situations could be different from yours. I had the privilege of having a mom who really, really supported me no matter what. So I have unconditional love. And that's a gift from my parents. And if that is not a gift that you receive from your parents, I need you to know it is not too late because you can give that to yourself. And then as you learn to give that to yourself, let me be the voice that teaches you how to give that to yourself as well. So there's no like you missed out or you had the wrong parents. I believe we all had the right parents for each one of us. And we got things we needed and we got things we need to grow through. Here's what I was taught, and I want to pass to you. They taught me that as long as I believed in what I was pursuing, it was a worthy pursuit. And so even when they didn't always understand what I was pursuing, I still knew that they loved me. You see, what happens when you don't feel supported or we don't feel understood, we just feel different. We judge ourselves. And then we start creating a narrative and a story that other people don't like us, other people don't support us. And then we continue that narrative even further beyond what is necessary. It's okay that they don't understand you. Maybe they don't need to. And that's where I had the biggest breakthrough in my freedom. When I understood that my parents they understood me at many layers, but there were some deeper layers that they didn't understand. And so while they questioned, why are you pursuing that? Are you really sure about that? I don't really understand what you're doing with your life. It was okay because I knew that as long as I understood me, that I could move forward. And I knew that if they did have the opportunity to truly understand my drive, my calling, the passions that were setting me on fire, that they loved me enough that they would try to understand. But we didn't even get to that because we didn't need to, because I learned how to understand and support myself and then love them and those in my life with the understanding that there are going to be things that they love and support about me, and there are things that they're not going to get, or they're not going to know how to support me. Now, I found that in a lot of what I do, you guys know I'm passionate about confidence, and I've always appeared confident, but I've never, up until in my late 20s, did I learn the skills and tools and the techniques that I pass on to you. And so I had superficial confidence, but not always deep confidence. And so one of the assumptions that many people in my life, coaches, mentors, my family, my friends, they assumed that I knew I was on the right path. They assumed that I thought I was doing great. They assumed that I had it all together and that I knew it. And they assumed that they didn't need to affirm me or compliment me or encourage me. And so it was hard at first to wrestle with that. But the truth is, they didn't know anything different. And they didn't know that inside I was spinning my wheels and uncertain of what I was doing, and that I was desperate for words of affirmation. You see, I think sometimes we think people aren't supporting us, and what really is happening is they don't know how. And they don't know how because they don't know what we need. And until we can express to the people in our lives what we need, then they're never going to know how to show up, and that's not on them. If you peel back the layers, they probably are supporting you in more ways than you think. Now, I want you to, before we dive into the coaching, I want you to know that you can support yourself even if you don't have a massive support network. And you do this by learning how to reframe the narrative and create your own support network from the inside out. Before we go any deeper, I want you to know, listen, if you have a dream on your heart, one of the best ways to support yourself is to stop putting it off. Stop saying later. Stop saying in the future, I'm going to do this or that, or I'll do that when I have time. I want you to know you're never going to have time, which is why I have this program called the Dream and Do program. It's a 45-day program, 10 minutes a day with me, where you're going to guide yourself through activating your wildest dream. This could be a book. It could be a financial breakthrough. It's an online process that's guaranteed to help you make structural and creative process in the dream that matters most to you. And why do I share this now? Because it is currently on sale, 81% off. I usually 100%, you can look at my bank accounts, used to charge $997 for this. And today and this week, it's available to you for $597. Who is this for? It's for you if you want to write a book. It's for you if you want to start a business. It's for you if you want to grow your business. It's for you if you want to start a nonprofit or a charity. It's for you if you want to become a speaker, if you want to learn a new language, if you want to create online courses, if you want to be a life coach, if you want to restore a historical property, if you want to design a dream home or change careers, if you want to sell your art, if you want to increase your income, if you want to travel the world, if you want to land a new job, if you want to create a music album, if you want to run a marathon, if you want to open a cafe or a restaurant, I would like to come. If you want to be an influencer, if you want to start a side hustle, if you want to renovate your home, this is for you. This is for you so that you take that idea and you take action, because the people who achieve their dreams are the ones who actually take action. You just start. And that's why this 45-day accelerator is so key and critical for you. You can find out more at trishblackwell.com/dream. I also will put the link to this in the show notes. Now, our concept of the week, our question of the week is actually from a listener who asked, what do I do when I don't have that backup support from others in my life? And that's why I wanted to share the coaching for today. So the question is, what do I do when I don't have people that support me? The answer is you support yourself. The answer is that you learn how to be your own self-validating, own self-encouraging voice. Now, is it ideal? You're talking to a words of affirmation girl. I love the people who cheer me on. I love the support that I get from people. But when I don't get it, I have to learn to be my own resource. No one is coming for you. It is you that needs to stand up and say, world, I am ready. And the most powerful relationship you will ever have is the relationship that you have with yourself. And that is a quote from Steve Marabelli. There's an anonymous quote that I wanted to share with you that says, in the end, the most rewarding thing in life is to support yourself and to be your own greatest advocate. Today's coaching, today's podcast is to teach you how to be your own greatest advocate. Which to do that, you have to have the boldness to dream big and then the willingness to be self-reflective and self-encouraging, to acknowledge yourself when you've done something hard, to evaluate your effort and your progress and your growth and say, well done, me. You see, I'm coming from having been a hyper self-critical, self-judgmental, type A, just hard on myself kind of person. And it was destructive. It was exhausting. So it wasn't natural at all for me to learn how to build myself up, to learn how to be self-advocating, to be self-encouraging. So that's why I tell you, if I can do this, you 100% can as well. I love this quote from Sophia Bush. She says, "You are allowed to be both a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. Support yourself in both." Now, if you see behind me on my shelf here, if you're listening on the audio, one of my favorite verses in the Bible is how God calls us his masterpiece. But I used to struggle with that concept because I thought, how could it be a masterpiece and such a mess? And I could echo what Sophia Bush said. You're allowed to be both a masterpiece and a work in process simultaneously. And you can support yourself in both. Now, I have a great quote from Abraham Lincoln who says, "The best way to predict your future is to create it. Start by supporting yourself in every step you take." I love that Abraham Lincoln, even before personal development and the power of your words and neuroplasticity, an activation of what you believe, even before, way before Henry Ford, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Lincoln said you predict your future by creating it. You see, we create our future ahead of time, first by having the courage and the willingness to dream and say, something like that is available to someone like me. The fact that God has put that idea on your heart tells me that you were made for it, that you're capable of it, that is part of the pursuit of your highest calling. And then what do you do once you believe it to be true? You do what Lincoln says. He says, start supporting yourself in I hope you noticed, he didn't say in the 20th step you take, in 2 months when you're headed, in a year and a half when you're seeing progress, in every step you take. And by the way, just a side note, if you don't know how to cheer yourself on, grab my self-validation course. It's $7. Like, I made it so affordable simply so I could get it in the hands of more people. You can get that at trishblackwell.com/self-talk. So fundamentally, you need to know that you are your number one supporter. It's okay if others don't support you, but it's not okay if you don't support you. Now, how do we do that? You cheer yourself on. You track and notice your progress. You get really, really obsessed with becoming a learner and being someone who's committed to growth in every element. You cheer yourself on to the wins and the fails, and you look at the failures or the setbacks as opportunity and as part of your curriculum of growth and of excellence. They were not something to be ashamed of. They were necessary steps. And so you support yourself by being willing to feel and being willing to fail. So many of us are afraid of failure, but also we're afraid of feeling because we don't want to feel disappointed. We don't want to feel discouraged. You cannot run from your feelings. If you run from your feelings, you will run from your life. Once you have your support, once you learn to build yourself up, and you do this again, start with my self-talk program, trishblackwell.com/self-talk. Get in a positive community, get a coach, whether it's me or someone else. But whatever you do, don't feel sorry for yourself. You guys, self-pity, and I was there. So whatever it is wherever self-pity is creeping into your life, it will rob you of your own internal power and your own ability to support yourself. Often self-pity comes from micro complaints. It comes from feeling sorry for ourselves, a little bit of the martyr syndrome that I am very guilty of myself. And so what I've learned to do to stay in support and in full support of myself is to continue building myself up and continue calling myself out when I'm micro complaining, when I'm feeling sorry for myself. Because as Joyce Meyer said, you can be pitiful or you can be powerful, but you cannot be both. I don't know about you. I want to be powerful. I want a powerful life, not a pitiful one. I want a powerful experience of being in my brain. And the minute I indulge in self-pity, which comes when I'm feeling sorry for myself, when I'm complaining, when I'm comparing, right? I'm comparing myself to somebody else and saying, oh, it's not fair that they have that and I don't. All of that creates pity. And when you indulge in self-pity, you give away your power. If you're going to operate and show up big in your life in a way that you can be your own support and that it's a bonus. I'm not saying we don't want people to support us or understand us. That's just the bonus. It's not the prerequisite. The prerequisite is that you support you and that you're powerful enough to know that your opinion is enough. Your voice of encouragement is enough, but we got to slow down. We got to journal that out. You've got to write down your power phrases, your affirmations. I teach all of that in that self-talk course. But one of the most simple ways to do this, I have a phrase that I have shared with my clients and I share it with you, and I'm going to make sure it's included in the show notes. I have what it takes. Say it with me. I have what it takes. The simplest phrase is I have what it takes. I want you to speak that over your life. I want you to write it out 5 times. I want you to be really serious about the way you're going to encourage yourself. I have what it takes. I have what it takes. I told myself, I got to be honest, this is my first time doing a recording in this way. And I didn't want to. And I thought, this doesn't look right. And this is not right. And I'm not ready. I have what it takes. I cut through all my self-pity, all of my excuses, all of the preferences. And I just said, I have what it takes. 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 This is how we cheer ourselves on, my friends. Maybe you're doing a whole new industry and field and you're overwhelmed and intimidated and you just don't want to mess it up. Say this, I have what it takes. Maybe you're on your 15th diet and you're finally said, enough is enough. I'm changing my core beliefs and my core habits, and I'm going to commit until I get to where I want to go. And your brain is going to offer you a bunch of nonsense and a bunch of mindset chatter that says, no, you can't. But what if it's just like last time? I need you to cut through all of that noise and say, I have what it takes. You see, that phrase is so simple, but so powerful. Our words have so much power. This phrase, repeated 100 times, repeated 300 times, will become something you actually start believing. You right now might be listening to me and be like, Trish, I don't know if I have what it takes. That's okay. But I guarantee if you write this 100 times, if you speak this 1,000 times, if you intersect your thoughts and counter the doubt with this phrase 12, 2 dozen, 5 dozen times, you will start to believe it. Because your beliefs are simply just a thought that you've repeated enough that it actually becomes true. This is how we believe in ourselves. When you believe in yourself, you can then be massively consistent in your habits. And here's where this is like the best part of why I love what I do. If you're massively consistent, you will be massively successful. And you don't have to be consistent in big things. We're talking consistent in your micro habits. We're talking the 3-minute habit. The tiny habits, being consistent in doing a plank, the first thing you do when you get out of the bed in the morning. People are going to say 20 years from now, wow, how are your abs so flat? Well, it's just a minute a day. But the compound effect of that 1-minute habit over time is going to set you apart from your peers 20 years from now. And all you had to do, it was hard because it's hard to be consistent, but it's also not hard because once you do something over 300 times, sometimes they say 66, sometimes they say 300, sometimes they say research is always varying. So let's just say 300. You don't even have to think about it. It becomes an automated habit. It's a default habit and it no longer requires your effort. You see, first we choose our habits and then our habits make us. Supporting yourself up means that you have to give up the habit of beating yourself up. You have to give up the critical voice and the self-judging, comparing voice. This was the work that I had to do. This work will bring you freedom. And if you want to start the work, there's no better place to start than my self-talk course, that $7 course I mentioned. But also for accelerated results, come and join me in my coaching program, The College of Confidence. Find out more at collegeofconfidence.com. It's month to month, cancel at any time, literally risk-free. I will teach you how to give up the self-critical voice, how to stop beating yourself up, how to actually believe in yourself and actually have confidence, how to stop judging yourself, how to start being just so hard on yourself. Because those are the things that are keeping you in your own self-made prison. And so we have to remind ourselves, look, I know what I've been through. And decide for yourself the story you want to tell yourself about the past. Stop focusing on what you didn't get. Focus on what you did. Stop focusing where there is lack and focus on where there is abundance and opportunity or drive that you've been given. Credit yourself as well for the work that you have done. I teach this in our champagne moments in the College of Confidence, but also the 333 method. If you don't know the 333 method, it's a 3-minute journaling method that I believe transforms one's self-confidence. You can get it for free at trishblackwell.com/333 method. I'll pop that in the show notes so you can go find it if you're driving or maybe you're on the treadmill right now. But we've got to train our mind to focus on what we have done instead of what we haven't. We've got to train our brain to choose confidence, whether we feel confident or not. Remember, confidence is a thought, not a feeling. It's a choice we make. And then once you act, the feeling will follow. And you got to track how far you have. And I really love giving you guys some low-hanging fruit examples. And one of that is, like, I am teaching my children how to just start taking note of, even in a real tangible way, not in like a big, meaningful, deep, personal development way, but just in a general way. Look how far you've come. My family, as you guys know, we recently flew to Kenya and had an extraordinary family safari, and I recorded some courses in Kenya, and we got to get involved with our friends at the Mustard Seed House with Faith Aid. Every element of it was life-changing. But one of the side notes is that we flew from Washington, D.C. to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and then from Jeddah to Nairobi. And what I did was I spoke to my kids and I spoke out loud of, hey guys, remember when we were in Nairobi this morning? Like when we were flying back and it felt like, we were in Saudi Arabia 24 hours ago. And now we're here in the United States and we're walking the dog, and all in the span of 24 hours. Isn't that amazing that we can travel halfway across the world and jump in cultures? Look how far we've come just today. No wonder we're tired. Let's go take a nap. I say that because I want you to get in the habit, even in the small things, of acknowledging the past and the journey you've taken. Well, we jumped on a lot of planes. That was a hard travel day, but look how far we can go in just a day. Wow, that was a tough week, but remember how it just felt like it was Sunday? Look at us. We made it to Friday. You made it through that pitch, through that presentation. You see what I'm getting at? Start narrating your life with a sense of awe and wonder and admiration and appreciation for yourself and how far you've done. You can also do this in sports. Do you remember when you could only run 2 miles and now you're running 4? Well, I tell my kids, because we snowboard, we go, do you remember when you were afraid to go off that jump and now you're doing a 180 off of it? Look how far we've come. So if you get in the habit of acknowledging how proud you are of the journey, you will have a propensity to start being patient with your future journey as you look at it. And so while you would love the support of people golf clapping you and cheering you on as you go, you don't need it, because you have already trained your brain to say, look how far I've come. And look at how that can give me confidence about where I am going to be going. So when your family doesn't understand you, I want you to remember this. They either don't understand, they don't have the vision, or they don't share the vision. And all of that is okay. I wanna commission you to go find people who share the vision. Find people who share the hobbies. Find people who want to write books just like you want to write books. Go and remind yourself that there are 8 billion people in this world. You are not alone. You are not weird. You are not an outlier. You are not alone. But it is your job to go seek out the community and the support that you crave. But this is also a really huge opportunity to deepen your own belief in your vision. And look, I've already told you my family has supported me the whole length of my entrepreneurial journey. But for many, 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 let me repeat, many years, they didn't get it. I was 5 or 7 years into podcasting. And my mom had no idea what it was. My mom kept saying, when are you going to get a real job? Not really, but there were hints to that. Meanwhile, I had a thriving business, and she just didn't get it. And then she had a new neighbor move in next door to her, and she said, oh, you're Diane Blackwell? Oh my gosh, is there any chance you know Trish Blackwell? And my mom said, yeah, it's my daughter. That's funny. How do you know her? And she said, well, I don't. Just listen to her podcast. And from that moment, and I don't even know your name, my love, I hope you're listening still. You changed my mom's ability to understand that I'm not just talking to a microphone into the void, but there are people across the world who I've built community with and who I've helped empower with confidence tools that many of which that she passed to me. But it's because of that my mom went to. It's not that my mom didn't want to support me. My point is sharing that story is she didn't know how. And I hope that encourages you, because as you go and pursue your dreams or career change or living, maybe being the black sheep of your family and just following what God's put on your heart, know that it's okay to be different. And even if your family doesn't understand you or support you right now, it does not mean that that's going to be forever. So let's put that out there. Now, what do we do when our friends don't support us? I have worked with so many clients who get super offended about friends who are like, aren't supportive. And can we just give them some grace? I have been there and I've had to work through this and make these decisions myself. They might get it, they might not. I have a lot of really close friends who really get me and have a lot of really close friends who kind of get me. And you know what? I don't need every person in my life to fit my needs exactly. I've made a decision. I just want to enjoy people and love on people and create community and connection. But then also let's give them grace and allowance to say, sometimes I know that we can get offended that a friend stops reaching out and stops caring or stops asking us questions about what we're doing in our lives. That doesn't mean they don't support you. Let's just tell her, and maybe that's true, I don't know, but I choose to tell a better story. And this is where narrative intelligence comes in. And if you are interested in narrative intelligence, I have a link to my narrative intelligence course in the show notes, but it's the story that you tell yourself, your ability to pivot in your story. We could say that they don't support us, but we could also just say they've been really busy and that we know that they love us. And that if they could tell it directly to us and they knew that we needed to hear it, they would say, absolutely, I'm cheering you on. So what's really critical is that you define the support that you need. So I want you to ask yourself these questions, put them in your journal, think about them. But what makes you feel supported? What is the most ideal thing someone can say to you to feel supported? And what emotion do you feel when you feel supported? Is it, remember, our thoughts create our feelings. So is it, you're thinking, wow, he supports me. Do you feel peace? Do you feel encouragement? Do you feel inspiration? Do you feel safe, secure? What emotion? And then remember, for the people that are closest, you can ask them to love on you in a way. I told my husband, one of the best ways to support me is to write me cards, to write me a note. So when I had babies, I really wanted to feel supported in my healing. I wanted to feel supported. I was an emotional wreck. I said, I want a card in the hospital. Judge me for all you want. Cards are really meaningful to me. And so I reminded him. I didn't hope he would read my mind and figure out how to support me. I said, hey, I know you love me, and I know I'm a hot hormonal mess. So when I am in the hospital, can you please bring me flowers and a card? Because I will cherish that card. And it is, I cherish both cards from both my babies, and they're cherished in a little special box. But I didn't expect my husband to read my brain. And he and I often talk very openly, hey, how can I support you this week? And instead of hoping that we can read each other's calendars and schedules and know what's happening and stressors, we just ask the question. So ask, if you had that question asked to you, how would you answer that? And then the second part of it, who do you need to ask? Hey, how can I support you better? That's another simple way is, how can I encourage you this week? Or how can I love on you? Because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for love. Love, when we talk about support, we just want to know, fundamentally, if we strip it all away, call it support, call it encouragement, call it understanding. We want to be loved. We want to know that the people we love us back. Give out what you want. Are you supporting the people in your life? How can you support your family more? How can you be more supportive to your friends? How do you like to express or share support? Is it verbal? Is it written? Is it a text message? Is it a random act of kindness or a random gift? Start doing that more, because we give what we get, what we put out is what we receive. There's a boomerang to your kindness. There's a boomerang to your support, but that's why it starts with you supporting you. I have what it takes. Keep saying that until you believe it. I've got some journaling questions for you as we close out the episode. These you're going to want to write down and do a full journaling session. Just put a timer for 10 minutes on your phone. That's all that it needs to be. Journaling does not have to be complex. First question is, how can I better support myself in my language to myself? Second question, how can I better support myself in my habits? Third question, how can I better support myself in what I read and watch? This was really convicting for me about 10 years ago. How can I better support myself with what I track and value? Are you tracking your metadata if you have specific fitness or health related goals or business related goals? How can I better support myself with small celebrations, with giving myself little rewards, or just validating myself and saying, well done, I crushed it today. Did I get everything done? No, but I'm proud. I'm proud of the progress I did make. That is supporting yourself. That is a small celebration. And how can I better support myself with the right people and separating myself from the wrong people? Because as you support yourself, as you go big in life, as you create change in your family, your narrative, your life, your body, your financial status, you're going to have naysayers. You're going to have people who try to pull you back down. That's okay. They will eventually come back. Surround yourself with the right people. If you don't know the right people to surround yourself, you, of course, can always start in my coaching membership, the College of Confidence. But as we close out today's episode, I want to read our review of the week. It is from thank you. It's Amanda. Amanda G 316 wrote this. Outstanding. I discovered this podcast last week and have binged more episodes than any other show. Trisha's authentic and refreshing. Her advice and teachings are as applicable pretty much at once and aren't complicated. I have learned something new every show. As a stay-at-home mom, thick in the motherhood, feeling stuck in a rut, this was exactly what I needed. Amanda, I love you. I feel encouraged and supported by your willingness to take 2 to 5 minutes out of your day to send me love, to send me encouragement. Because remember, guys, there's a lot of people who want to encourage you, but they assume you don't need the words of affirmation. They assume you got it going on. They assume that you're fine. Here's what I know. We all need encouragement. We all need support. So we start with ourselves. And then when you can lead yourself, go be generous to others. And then I think you'll find that will boomerang back to you. Guys, go out there today. Go be more of who God created you to be. Text this episode to a friend if you enjoyed it, if it was encouraging to you. Even if you want to say to that friend, hey, I support you. Let me know how I can cheer you on. Hit that follow and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next week here on the Confidence Podcast.